And with us right now, we've got the founder and CEO of Giver Marketing. It's Timothy Morgan. Timothy, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, Josh, thanks for the invite. Really a privilege to be here.
Well, listen, I love the space you're in. It's a space that we're in the same space. I don't really feel like necessarily a provider of services in this space. We are, but more than anything, like I feel like I'm an evangelist for this way of doing business. And can you just maybe just start with just like an overview of what Giver Marketing is?
Well, I love the term evangelist. I think it's a perfect way to put the role of a marketing professional, and to some degree, it bleeds into the sales conversation as well. And the origin of Giver Marketing is kind of interesting because the background for me was I literally was an evangelist. I was in the nonprofit space trying to get the good word out, right? And helping people, just loving on people. But ever since I was 16, I just had this almost like draw towards small business and starting businesses. So I bought, built, sold micro businesses from a young age, and eventually just found out that marketing was my jam. This is what I really love. And so ended up starting a marketing agency because, gosh, when I was in the micro business world and nonprofit world, it was hard to find an awesome marketing professional like yourself or our team or any team that would be a reasonable cost and produce results. So that's what we did.
Yeah. So what exactly, like what are the services you do? Like what, again, I love the concept of Giver Marketing, but what does it actually look like?
Yeah, bottom line is we started out as a typical done-for-you agency. We built websites, managed social media, these kind of things, and we continue to do that, but clients started asking for coaching. And so coaching became kind of a big part of the packages, and realized quickly that the market was screaming for more solid coaching advice, third-party trusted advice that didn't necessarily always include the done-for-you service. They needed that neutral advice from somebody that wasn't going to charge them an arm and a leg to do it, but just give them some coaching strategy and direction for their marketing. So now we lead with coaching and always include that. And then even in the packages, which include all the done-for-you services, we have 10, 15 marketing specialists ready to help. We're a marketing collective of specialists to help on the done-for-you side as well. But coaching's really our thing. That's why we're the highest rated, reviewed in the country for what we do is the coaching piece.
Yeah. All right. So what's going on in the small business world, or should we say, the marketing world, among all the gurus that they're teaching and selling stuff? What do you see out there that you're like, oh man, yeah, I really need to change this part of how business is. Unfortunately, it's happening this way.
Josh, you speak to this a lot, and I've been following you for a while and digesting your great advice and content and kind of your brand. But listen, if we don't lead with an authentic story, and we cut through that noise of let me pitch you on something right out the gate, if we don't do that, we're literally going to be way behind within months. We'll be behind the curve if we don't make that adjustment and that pivot right now, because there's so much information available. People can find what you sell online so quickly. They just want to know if you're trustworthy. They just want to know who you are, where you came from, and kind of those aha moments that brought you to the passion you have. And so that's kind of how we started, and that's what we recommend other brands consider as a part of their journey.
Yeah. What do you see in the kind of the marketing guru world that you take issue with?
Oh gosh, over promising, under delivering. Big deal. Big deal. So if somebody comes to you or me or anybody else and says, hey, I can do this guaranteed within 10 days, just buy my course, which nothing wrong with courses. We have courses too. But the over promising and under delivering the results without the hard work that underpins it, to me, is just disingenuous. There's so much hard work. I mean, you're not where you are today because you just woke up and decided to do a 10-day course. You hit it hard for years and years and years, and those 10,000 hours of just fine tuning always improving. These are the things that many are not talking about. There are a few that are, but for the most part, the gurus are just trying to, many of them are just trying to grab a few dollars over the next couple of years. And then you don't hear about them for a while after that. So kind of a flash in the pan. It bothers me a lot. Same in the sales conversation. We're not a sales training company, but it's a similar, observation that I've seen is sales is, how well can you pitch? No, sales and marketing are how well can you connect?
Right. Yeah. So, all right. So what does this actually look like practically? So someone's like, help me, Timothy, understand tactically what you're talking about.
Well, after consulting, coaching, collaborating with thousands of organizations, we started seeing a pattern. The pattern is there are companies and causes that have 4 pieces in place with their marketing. And that became our signature process. It kind of just evolved into this process that we can't not share this. We have to unveil this. And it's very simple, but it has to be very intentional. Number 1 is don't start promoting before you're branded and visible. Mm-hmm. That's why when people come on your show or whatever they're doing with their marketing, that's why that is the first best place to start. Your brand first, then your visibility, then you have the right to go public with your promotion, and then you have the ability to nurture those conversations properly. So I just gave you the 4 pieces that we train on just naturally in a conversation, but at the end of the day, if we don't do these in order, we're literally putting the cart before the horse with our marketing. It doesn't work. You're literally throwing money out the window with your promotion if you're not branded and visible. It doesn't make sense for your dollar.
And some folks might be out there saying, well, it's just a numbers game. It's just a numbers game, which I got to be honest, like when I hear that, like you want to see me get like Hulk green and like, it's like, we're not talking about numbers. We're talking about Timothy, like someone like you or someone like me. Like this is a person, this is a human, this is a soul. And like, I understand we have to measure, right? And we have to say, well, how effective am I? And I mean, from that sense, but to think of people as just numbers, I think is what a ripoff. What
Absolutely.
A ripoff
Absolutely.
Of who someone is. And so when we start to think, and I see a lot of marketers that do this, I think that they think that when you start to think of your audience as numbers, you start to disrespect their intelligence and you start to forget, wait a minute, how would you respond to this sort of messaging? Or, okay, you're on a landing page and you're already selling to me, and now you're asking for me to give you my email address. I don't even know who you are. And I know you don't know who I am. And is it possible that maybe we could build a relationship a little bit more authentically before we start getting into these asks or these demands or this selling?
We've been able to stumble into a LinkedIn strategy that's all based in this concept, relationships, authenticity. And what we found is that the spamming and the complicated funnels, which look, we all have processes by which we interact with people, but these complex and spammy kind of approaches really end up becoming a push people away kind of approach long term. Short term, you might get a few sales here and there, but at the end of the day, long term becomes the game for a seasoned professional, especially in the marketing space. And so like we had a chance to help one client particularly. He was an executive coach, and he wanted to engage authentic conversations with business to business folks on LinkedIn. So we ended up setting up just an authentic conversation starting type of campaign. 200 appointments later, he's like, wow, okay, this is working. I'm like, yeah, because you're being genuine. And these are the people that want to hear your message and connect with you either on a personal, business, or both level. And sure enough, his groups are growing. He's one of the most successful in his space. And it's just fun to be able to partner with, and we're on track to book 1,000 appointments this year doing the same thing. So it's one of those fun experiments that ended up working out pretty well.
Yeah. So, when people ask, well, Timothy, and this seems silly that you'd have to ask this, but I think you really do, because people are so used to inauthentic communication. I mean, this should be obvious to ask the question, what does conversation or authentic conversation look like or sound like in LinkedIn? My first answer would be like, what does authentic conversation look like in real life? And maybe replicate that. And it's when we start. So I answered my own question. Now I want to hear from your perspective.
Josh.
So
Josh,
I gave you
on
the
a roll, man.
I gave you the dumb, simple answer. But again, for someone's like, I still don't get it. Timothy, help us out. Like, what might engagement like? You're a fan of? Sounds like you're a fan of Sales Navigator as well.
Sales Navigator, and just the tools that are complement this approach, this relational approach. That's why we love Bob Berg. We love people like Adam Grant, who generates the data behind that. That's why we're called Giver Marketing. I mean, the Go Giver from Bob Berg. Adam Grant wrote a book called Give and Take. We love this concept of just relational, but it's also data driven. It's very, very scientific, but it's also organic in that it's based on that relationship. So we recommend asking good questions, just like you would in a networking meeting, like you just said, Josh. Right. I mean, if you and I were out hanging out together, I love doing this with power partners and folks in the similar industries. Just go to a meeting together, connect either virtually or in person, depending on what's available, and start asking great questions. See what happens.
Yeah.
If they don't like you, they'll stop. They'll kind of change the subject and move on. If they like you, there's an alignment, synergy. People know, like, and trust. Then things magically start happening. So yeah, I love it, Josh. I'm with you on that.
Think about this. So many people want to keep shortcutting this system. Relationships authentic, real relationships take time. Now, that said, if you're really serious about this, you have to develop systems and processes on the back end to support this. And again, I feel silly almost saying this, but again, a great illustration, you could tell me, Timothy, your perspective on this, but imagine that you reach out to someone on LinkedIn. You're like, hey, Timothy, I looked at your profile. I saw that you're an expert in this. Look, I know we don't really know each other, but this is too much language. You have to make this a little tighter.
I get it.
But just a question like this, like, I really appreciate your approach. Like, I really appreciate your approach. Headed to your website, and then just a simple question about do you have a book? Do you do this? Do you have a podcast? Something like that. Is there somewhere I can go to learn more? And actually do it, right? Which that's where some business owners are like, oh, now we're talking about too much time. Let me ask you, what do you want from this other person right here? And if you want them to give you their attention, then doesn't it make sense that you would give them your attention first?
Just let them know how you actually found them or connected with them, or just tell them the journey and then ask a question. It's just like any other relationship. Hey, I remember when we first met at that whatever, or hey, I came across your page because of this, or hey, I'm trying to remember how we connected, but I'm super interested in having a conversation with you. What about this? And ask a question and see where it goes. Now, it's got to be an intelligent question.
Yes, absolutely.
But it can't be a spammy question like, hey, how's your business doing during the pandemic? It's like, I don't know, man. First of all, that's not timeless. It doesn't transcend. Like, get specific with the audience that you're trying to connect with, and have some fun just getting to know people. We always think about it this way. If we're getting into a conversation, either online or offline, what is the mutual benefit for this happening? And I'll even use that language after the conversation started and they're like, hey, maybe we should get on the phone, or I'll ask, hey, do you want to grab a quick call for a few minutes? Just kind of get to know each other a little bit more, connect over Zoom or whatever it is. Why? Well, mutual benefit. I'll just say it just like that. And if the mutual benefit language doesn't resonate with them,
Mhm.
then I'm either dealing with somebody who's so stinking overwhelmed that it's going to be
Yeah.
hard to have a conversation, or they're narcissists.
Yeah. Or,
I'm not interested like
right.
in doing that. So mutual benefit is the game. Like that's the game.
Yeah. I think that, again, the power and the beauty of LinkedIn is someone gets to then say, okay, this person is engaging with me. Who are they? What are they doing? And so if someone, I'd say one other thing I'd probably throw in there legitimately is if they have to be selective in their time, right? And
Yep.
if they say, okay, well, let me vet this person, see who it is. And if it looks like, it looks like they're really, really kind of new in their business. I'm just kind of have to read between the little lines because again, if you're the CEO of a very large company, you really can't chat one-on-one with everybody. So you do have to have some
Yep.
screening process. And, as much as, listen, I would love to be able to chat with everyone, but the reality is, on a 40-hour work week, I get 80 slots, basically 80 30-minute slots that I have to fill up. And I have a lot of responsibility. So I would throw one other thing in there is that they've taken a look at you at least, which I
Uh-huh.
do when I get these people that will reach out to me and I'll say, hey, sorry, my schedule's a bit maxed out, but, and then I try to give them at least like, if you're curious, and then I give them some massive value or something like that, where my
Sure.
one-to-many stuff. So like one of our core values is democratization. Like we believe in giving massive value away. So I have to do, so you have your one-to-many stuff that you give away for free, one-to-one stuff. It sucks, but it just gets harder and harder as your company grows. Like I get that. So I would just throw that third one in there that not everybody who says no is a bad person.
No, they're
And
not a
maybe
bad
I think
person.
Timothy, part of it might be my own sensitivity because I have had to tell people it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, man. I'm
Well,
just,
at least you and I, when we get too busy or overwhelmed with some of the things on the plate, we have a team member that
yeah,
we can kind of say, "Hey, let me make a quick, introduction," or "Hey, look up so and so." They'd gladly be able to connect with you, and we want to be able to add value, and
sure.
then we can create mutual benefit that way.
Yeah,
You're
right,
you're
right.
you're a
Yeah, for sure.
giver by nature. I just following your track and kind of who you are. Like it's just a great conversation. I really enjoy these kind of conversations, and our real focus is causes and companies doing good in the world.
Hmm.
And it's just a privilege to be in the room with you and chat about it.
Yeah, for sure, Timothy. So, again, when people engage with you, and I see you've got several different levels at which you can engage, anywhere from kind of more of a group oriented, which ranges from like $100 to $500 a month. And then you have individual services and coaching and that ranges from 15 to 5,000. One thing I want to ask you is that, and I love this. Like, here's a thing that people want to know. Is generally, I understand that there's going to be a range, and I understand that from time to time there's going to be some customization, but I really, as a consumer, I really appreciate when a service provider or agency or professional or coach or whatever is transparent about their pricing. Like, I just, like, it's cool. Like, I'm an adult. Like, I know that if you're charging $5,000 a month, my speculation is that that's going to be some pretty high value stuff. Now, if it's $25,000 a month, I'm not a fit because I'm generally not going to buy a $25,000 a month service at this point. And that's fine because then that saves both of us time. But you've made the conscious choice to transparently share your pricing on the website. Why?
Well, we find that transparent. Well, first of all, transparency is one of our core values. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if we can collaborate, we can get results. We're efficient. We're transparent, and some of these type of things, they end up oozing out of us just naturally. So we can't help it, but pull back the curtain, kind of show what we're doing. We track results. We just all this kind of thing. And so to be able to say, hey, at $5,000 a month, you can basically get a fractional CMO and a team. Good luck trying to find that anywhere else. Like
No.
that's really difficult to find, especially a good one that knows what they're doing. They're not coming straight out of like, high school or something. Like they're really somebody who knows the industry. Or if you just want a group experience, kind of test the waters and You have something that's, you know, group dynamic that's a little bit less expensive, but really it's an investment in yourself and your team, be able to kind of pick up some nuggets and grow gradually. We have so many people that start with those lower level packages, and we just grow with them.
Yeah.
It's just a long game. We want them to be around in 5 years, and we know we're going to be around in 5 years. So it's one of those things where 80% of businesses go out within 5 years if they don't do this stuff. So we want to help them just like you do. So we're with you on that, just being transparent.
All right. So Timothy, again, on your website, Giver Marketing, for someone who's been listening to our conversation, and like, okay, I feel like these are my people, right? That's what they're saying. Where would you recommend they go at this point? Like, how can they begin that relationship with you?
Well, if you're a, hey, let me check out your website kind of person, just go to givermarketing.com. But if you're a social media person, just go to Facebook or whatever social media platform, just type in Giver Marketing. We're all over the place. I mean, we're one of the highest rated reviewed networks like in existence of this kind. So just find us. You'll see that it'll be a fun journey. There's even some content on Facebook that quite frankly most companies will charge for, but if you want to just grab it and digest it and have some meals together, we'll have some fun.
All right, Timothy Morgan, founder and CEO of Giver Marketing, on the web at givermarketing.com. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, I'm going to have you back in a handful of months, because we have way more stuff that you're giving me the opportunity to soapbox about.
Love this, Josh. So fun.